Hi guys, welcome back to ConversationWay. Today we're going to be talking just a little bit about living with the E92 BMW 330D. So I've had the car just over a year now, so I've had a little bit of experience with it, both good and bad. I got the car at about 90,000 miles. It had full service history. It was relatively well looked after, but I did do a few things before I really started to use the car. So one of the first things I did was get the SWIRL flaps done. So if you know anything about these cars, you know they can suffer with SWIRL flap failure. And when the SWIRL flaps, they can basically just fall into the engine and destroy your engine. And also they can leak as well, which makes just basically oil. We get a load of oil all over the engine. So basically, best thing to do is just have them taken out. Side effect from that is that your MPG is reduced just a little bit, I've noticed. It's a minuscule amount though. And also low down torque as well is slightly reduced, but to be honest, unless you were really paying attention, you wouldn't actually know. So yeah, SWIRL flaps was one of the first things I did, and I'm just going to get on this junction. Other work I've done to it, I had a front spring snap. So I had 2 new front springs put on. So yeah, but I mean that could happen probably to. I don't think that's like a well-known failure point of this particular car. I suppose it can happen to any car really.
Yeah, it's a common thing on any car, isn't it? Spring snapping. I've had that on many cars.
It's a bit inconvenient really, but fairly easily fixed.
Is it expensive on these?
No, not really. I think I'm not quite sure how much the springs were, but all in all, it was about 3 hours labour to replace the springs.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound too bad, does it?
No, it wasn't too bad.
It doesn't clunk considering it's it's a low car and it's got low profile wheels and stuff. It doesn't clunk or anything, does it? So
no, it feels really stable. Yeah, it feels really stable, really solid. I think really similar, you know, with your X5 Lee, where you know the BMWs do feel really solid. Like they feel like they're heavy, like solid heavy. Like they're not going anywhere. Anything that's been screwed on or put on the car or whatever, it's not going anywhere. It's not moving. So it's really rigid.
And I feel like if you had a what's this, an 06 plate? If you had an equivalent 06 plate car. Yeah. I guarantee it's not BMW or obviously like Merc or Audi or things like that. Just like a 2-door coupe car. I bet you they don't.
Sort of quality.
Yeah, probably like an Astra coupe or something like that from 2006. It'd be terrible. It'd be clunking everywhere. It's not.
Yeah,
They're not
so
built.
I suppose it's only 6 months younger than the BMW then.
Yeah. It's not too much difference between them.
For me, I bought this car mainly because I wanted a little bit of speed, but I didn't want to sacrifice too much MPG. In this car, you can do 0 to 60 in probably just over 6 seconds. Top speed 155 limited, but on a run I'm still getting 45, 46 MPG.
That's really good.
On the motorway. So I mean, there's probably not that many petrol cars out there that could offer that sort of performance and still return that sort of MPG. So.
Yeah, so this is so talk to me about the engine. What is this engine?
Yeah, so this engine.
Same as Lee's, exactly.
It's a slightly. It's the same block, similar. Isn't it? It's the M57. M for Mike. I think yours has 204 brake horsepower.
218.
218. This is 231 standard.
Yeah.
It's a torquey unit. It sounds quite nice for a diesel. And I think generally, although some people might argue about this, generally the M57s are regarded as a little bit more reliable than the later N57 engines. just in terms of longevity and ease of maintenance. For example, the timing chains on the M57 on this engine, they don't tend to fail as much as the later N57s, and even if they do fail or they begin to show signs of close imminent failure, it's actually easier to change on this engine than the N57, because the timing chain's on the front of the engine, whereas on the later engines it's on right at the back, so it requires a lot. Yeah, it's a lot more labour.
That's a lot more labour
intensive and loads more money. So, but look, I mean, it's a relatively old car now, and it's a BMW, so things are inevitably going to go wrong with it. I personally wouldn't recommend this car if you just wanted to get in the car every morning and 7 days a week and just expect it to work all the time with no niggles, because it's just not going to be like that. You are going to have problems with it at some point. Even if you really keep up the maintenance, you are probably going to have niggles with any BMW at this age.
It's true.
Or Mercedes or Audi.
Any car.
Pretty much. And the more complicated they get, then the more likely that something's going to go wrong with them. And of course, you've got a prestige brand, in quotes. If you need genuine parts, they're not particularly cheap.
But what you also got to remember is as well, like, you'll have a car like this, and it'll just. But like we've all been saying, it's a solid car,
It is solid, yeah.
And the money you pay for the car and living with it, it's going to be good. Comparing, what you could do is you could just pay the money for this car, say you find one for £5,000, whatever, or go and buy, another car equivalent to this but a lot newer, but you're paying a lot more money. So and you might not have to do as much maintenance, but you're still going to save yourself money if you buy a car like this. Because they do last. Like Ollie said, when things go wrong, they're not that expensive to fix, considering if it's nothing major like engines or gearboxes and things like that, which they're not renowned to go at 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles on an X5 or a 3 Series, because they're built to last. But springs and discs, pads, tyres, things like that, you do that on any car. So I honestly don't think, in my experience and Ollie's experience owning an older BMW, that it's going to be worse to own.
I think the key is keep on top of maintenance. 100% keep on top of the maintenance. Don't let things get too bad before repairing them. Keep on top of everything and keep an eye on all the common failure points, and get them changed before they fail, really, and the car will look after you.
Prevention before the cure is what
Prevention before the cure.
It's exactly what it is with older BMWs and older cars and things like that. Like Hassan's car, like Ollie's car, like my car, they're all really regularly serviced and maintained and checked all the time. Oil, water, coolant, things like that. They're the most important things to check on any car, no matter what car you own.
Another thing I would definitely recommend if you're thinking about one of these cars, this one's an auto, it's got the ZF6 gearbox. It's a really nice gearbox, you can flash them to make them change quicker. It's a pretty strong unit. And if you go to BMW and say, I'd like my gearbox oil change please, they will say, actually sir, you don't need it changed because it's sealed for life. Well, that's actually wrong, because the manufacturer of the gearbox, ZF, they recommend every 80,000 miles to change it. So just to, as a preventative measure, get that gearbox oil and filter change.
But also, funny Ollie mentions that, but if there's nothing wrong with the gearbox, or you don't feel no shudders or no struggle of changing gears, don't get it done. I've spoke to 2 specialists, and they said if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And especially with the gearboxes, they've said that sometimes when they change the oils and things like that, then it starts going wrong because it's you've tampered with it.
I suppose gearbox oil is quite different to engine oil.
Yeah, but also the thing is to remember is that it's a very long-lasting oil that's in there, and you'll notice when something starts to go wrong with it. The gear changes will be sudden. And one thing for BMW owners to keep an eye on, and don't panic about. When you're going downhill in an automatic BMW, it will change up and it will change up again, and it will feel like the car's over revving, but it's completely normal. It's a preventative measures for, you know, to slow you down.
Yeah, it's engine braking. It's quite clever. I think there's sensors in the gearbox, isn't there, that work out your orientation in regard to how level you are, and it's pretty clever. There's also like a gyroscope, I think. Yeah. Also, when you're going around tight corners, it's sometimes like a long tight corner, it will change down. There's down a gear as well. Yeah, just so that when you put your foot back on the accelerator, like, there's the power there available. It's quite clever, really. There's a lot of things going on in the gearbox that we don't really understand, but
a lot of things going on in the car we don't understand.
Yeah, but the end result is, you know, a decent drive. And yeah, generally, like, this car, you know, when I bought it, I was looking just for you know, a reliable car with that looked decent and had a bit of speed to it as well. Good MPG. And yeah, this came up, and yeah, it ticks all the boxes, really.
And remind the ladies and gentlemen of YouTube what you had before this.
I had a E46 320 TD. That's the compact one, the ugly duckling of the E46s.
Very nice.
But yeah, again, that was a good car. I kept on top of maintenance, and it served me well. I did loads of miles in it, and yeah, it never let me down. So,
what would you change with this car, do you think, Ollie? If you was to change, would you do things like maybe what I'm considering in terms of things like, you know, potential remap, or?
Yeah, you could get these remap. Definitely consider a remap on this. Increase the power, a little bit more MPG.
What about an aftermarket air filter?
Yeah, aftermarket air filter. Why not?
In the boot.
I wouldn't particularly want to fit it myself because of all the plastic stuff you have to take off, but maybe I'll have a crack at that at some point in the near future. But yeah, going back to the question, that's one of the things I would probably change on this car is that this is the SE spec, so it's slightly softer suspension than the M Sport. The seats are not as hugging, and the bolsters are quite almost non-existent. So I might look for an M Sport if I was looking for another one of these to buy. Just because the seats are just a bit better, really.
What about creature comforts? Anything you miss on that you haven't got?
Heated seats. Yeah.
Oh, you quite like that in the X5?
Yeah, I experienced these X5 with heated seats, and I can tell you it was a nice experience.
Yeah, they are good.
That would be really nice to have. And this one doesn't have it, unfortunately. Possibly, if I'm planning on keeping the car a little while longer, maybe I'll look into retrofitting the sports seats with the heated option. That might be nice.
Do you think it's going to be difficult to do?
I think it might be difficult to do. Yes, probably beyond my capability, but I'll certainly give it a research. I
think it'd be alright fitting the seats, but if there's any additional wiring that he's doing, that's when it becomes a problem.
when there's additional electrics going on, because there's so many electrics on this car. I'm loath to tamper with it too much.
One wrong cable,
exactly,
something like that.
The other thing I would probably change on this car is running 19-inch wheels, which I think are the largest that will fit on a E92. They're 30 profile at the back, 35s on the front.
I bet someone's got 20s on it on an E92.
Yeah, maybe you could fit 20s.
Crazy people out there.
If it springs or something, make it higher.
No, you don't want to make it higher. Keep it low. Get some get some coilovers or something. Then you'll be able to fit anything on it.
And if I do find, even without run flat tyres,
does this have run flats?
No,
neither does mine.
Non-run flat.
No.
I do find the ride fairly crashy. Not particularly comfortable. It does bang a lot when you're going over.
Oh yeah. See, that's what I found with the Alfa Romeo. I found that with the Alfa Romeo, if I had the Focus, that did have really low profile tyres, and I think they were 18s on the Vito, so probably I think it's the biggest you can get, kind of factory, kind of standard, and yeah, low profile. Okay.
We're off a bit of speed.
Got some power.
Certainly goes.
It's definitely got some good power there.
It's definitely got some real good power, that is.
It'll just torque on the M57 and M57s is there all the time, no matter what speed you're going. It's on tap. That's one of the things I really like about these. Is the torque. Just don't get that on the petrol so much. But then on the other hand, I think some petrols are probably a little bit more of an exciting drive. Though this does everything quite well. Yeah. I think with a manual gearbox and the noise a petrol makes.
That's the only thing I miss is the noise.
Exciting. Yeah.
The noise. You don't get the noise from a diesel as you do a petrol. Like you say, with a manual, you can make more noise, can't you? Really.
Yeah.
And it does make for a better sound. But I don't know. You can't get everything. You know. Well, you could. You can get an X5 with a 4.8 litre engine, but not manual. But you know.
Different sort of car though. That.
Yeah, yeah. And same with this, you can get an M3, can't you? With a manual gearbox and the noise, but it's not M3 money, so
yeah, exactly.
we're not about that. And you know, this is the car that
it's a daily car, exactly like what I was using. You know, I'm using with the Focus. You're using with the X5.
Yeah.
You know, this is Ollie's daily, so yeah, I think it is a really comfortable drive. Really comfortable sitting in. Yeah, it's actually quite spacious in the back as well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not the smallest guy in the world, so
he's not.
and yeah, so yeah, it's still comfortable. I find it quite comfortable. I think Lee's, you know, he's over 6 foot, so he's almost practically sitting in the back seats at the moment.
Yeah.
But,
and it goes down like a bed. It's really good.
yeah, he test the back's very good.
It does, look. Goes all the way
There we
down.
go. He's going again.
Goes all the way down.
Off to sleep.
You can live in here. It's good. There you go, look.
He's loving it.
All the way down.
Off to sleep he goes.
I'm off. And we're back up. No, it's comfy. It's a good car.
You see what I mean about the bolsters though? They don't really.
Yeah, there's not much bolster.
You sort of just slide off the seat when you go around.
Yeah, they could do with definitely the improved seats.
We'll do a UE up here and go back down the way we came.
Quite reminds me of my 1 Series. Same steering wheel, same indicators, same cruise control. Same
share
key.
so many bits.
Same key.
I was looking like even I had the suspension arms done on this. Control arms, front control arms, and they're interchangeable with the 1 Series.
Really?
Yeah.
I had all this, exactly the same. All the same. Didn't have iDrive in it, to be fair. Steering wheel, that was different because I had a manual. But that's all the same. But I had obviously the roof open close buttons.
Yeah.
But they're all the same.
Definitely a lot of shared parts between this and the 1 Series. Yeah, that's something actually we could talk about. So the iDrive on this is the first gen iDrive, the CCC system, and really by modern standards it's pretty outdated. It's very basic. So often what people will do on cars like this fitted with the iDrive is they'll just put an Android unit in.
Yeah.
And
more modern.
Yeah, far more modern.
Touchscreen, I think it is, and all the new ones.
Yeah. And it integrates with the iDrive control as well. Most of them do. So you don't lose any of the iDrive functionality. You can just switch between the two interfaces. So yeah, it's definitely worth thinking about. Worth thinking about doing for just Google Maps and everything else like that.
Yeah. Got the Android Auto and
Android Auto. Yeah.
Yeah, just brings up to modern standards, doesn't it? And you know, like we were talking about earlier on, cars with screens and stuff, as much as the old cars have got screens in, they just need updating a little bit, that's all. We're off again.
That's put a nice little smile on your face, what's that?
Does.
Sort of push you back in his
Unsuspected smile.
Yeah. You get miles to Big Allen, but you also get smiles to Big Allen as well. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's a win-win, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good car, and I enjoy driving it. I've got no plans to sell it anytime soon, but yeah, I think as long as you keep on top of maintenance and know the car's weak points, look after it, it will probably serve you well as a daily driver. It's certainly serving me well. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you found that sort of informative about the E92 330D. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out so much. And we're going to have lots of interesting videos coming up soon for you. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. If you put a comment or a question down below, we'll make sure to answer it as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks once again.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye bye.